conference, but also I'm applying to give a TED Talk, so they needed a video of me talking, so that's why we're video it. So am I on?
You're on.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me today. My name is Catharine Arnston. I'm the founder and CEO of Energy Bits, and we sell algae in small tablet form. And a little disclaimer, this is my first talk I've ever given, so I've left some feedback forms because I have a feeling I'll be doing this a lot, and I'd like to know whether it's too much, too little, too fast, too slow. Anyways, I'm very excited about algae, and I want the world to know about it because it is so healing, and we're missing so much nutrition in our diet, which is leading to so much illness. And I started the company almost 9 years ago as a result of my younger sister. You don't have to sit there. It just takes, it goes on its own. You can sit down. It's now on my show tape. My younger sister got breast cancer in about 9 years ago, and this is in Canada. And her oncologist told her she should eat an alkaline diet because it would help her heal. She didn't know what that was, and I didn't either because I'm an MBA and I'm doing international economic development, but I'm a good researcher. We found out it was basically plant-based foods because of the phytonutrients and the chlorophyll, which build your immune system. So I helped her find out which foods to eat. She changed her diet. She went through chemo. 9 years later, she's still clear of cancer. And meanwhile, I started learning about plant-based nutrition and was like, wow, this is 9 years ago, and nobody was talking about plant-based nutrition. I thought somebody needs to tell the world about this because it can change lives. And I thought, well, I guess maybe I will. So I gave up my corporate career, went back to school, studied nutrition for a year, taught nutrition for a year, trying to get people to eat more greens. And I found out people don't like them, it's too much work, so I thought, well, that's not going to move the needle. So I need to find something that's really green, really fast, really easy, and doesn't taste green. So I was like, well, that's impossible, but actually it's not. It's algae. And I stumbled across algae, and when I started reading the nutritional profile of algae and how alkaline it was, and the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world, 1,000 times more than any other greens, and endorsed by Carnegie Institute, United Nations, and just about everybody else. That's it. And the only thing I couldn't figure out is why doesn't anyone in America know about algae? Small percentage of people know about it, but it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in Asia, and it needs to be that big here too because it is so healing, and I'm going to go over some of it. So, since so few people know really what algae is, everyone thinks it's pond scum, but it isn't. What I'm doing in this talk is giving you a little overview of algae so you'll understand what it is, and then we'll go into a deeper dive on the therapeutic benefits. And there's a much more I can talk on another time on the therapeutic benefits. We're going to give it just an overview. So that's basically what we're going to go over. So let's just have a quick summary of what's in your body. Well, you know what? We're very complicated pieces of equipment, and there's trillions of cells and trillions of bacteria. You've got your bones, your muscles, and people spend more time focused on their car or their cell phone understanding how it works than they do in their bodies. And so of course we're not getting healthy because we don't know what the body needs to stay healthy. You are complex. But you know what? So is algae. And algae, as you're going to learn, is the oldest plant form on the earth. And it is a food. A lot of people misunderstand and think it's a supplement. It's not. It's a food. It's a crop just like kale. And you take it in tablet form like we do, like a handful of nuts. So algae is complex and you are complex. I'd say that's a marriage made in heaven. You are intelligent, and you're going to find out that algae is as well. And in fact, that's why I call it intelligent food. You have to be smart to take it, and it does amazing things in your body. It's actually what's called an adaptogen. An adaptogen is a type of food group, mostly plants or herbs, that knows how to respond to illnesses or traits in your body that need to be corrected. It's used as a functional food, so we're very emphasizing the fact that it's a food, not a supplement. Supplements are made in labs by usually artificial ingredients, and they only are a stripped down portion of the nutrient, and your body generally doesn't know how to absorb it, but because algae is food, you're going to find it's 99% bioavailable, so it's very efficient food. It's known as a superfood, but I call it a super duper food because it's way more than just a superfood. And yesterday I was calling it a super duper food, and by mistake I called it a super dude. And I thought, oh, I kind of like that. It's a super dude. So maybe I'll create a whole new category of food called super dudes. But again, it's important to understand that it's not a supplement. It's endorsed by so many organizations. NASA's used it said it's going to be the first food they're going to grow in their space missions because of the efficacy and the small space that you get so much nutrition. The United Nations in the 1960s had a global conference on algae, so 45 years ago, about it being the answer to world hunger. And the reason for that is it has the highest concentration of protein in the world. So, and they do use it in small amounts, but part of the reason I want my company to be the company that really takes algae the distance is so that we can give back and create foundations and help people in different parts of the world to learn how to grow this and feed themselves. The Carnegie Institute endorses it. It's known as a functional, it's used in functional medicine. And we personally have about close to 50 Olympic and professional athletes that endorse us. It's been used by Olympic athletes mostly in China and Asia, but we had so many that I sent some of my team to the Sochi Winter Olympics a couple of years ago, and 4 of them got podiumed, and they all give us credit for helping them get there because it helps keep the team healthy and gives them the energy and the focus that they need. Some people may be familiar with Ann Wigmore, who was really one of the original sort of foundational people helping people understand the power of plant nutrition. And there's a place in Palm Beach called the Hippocrates Center. It's 50 years old, and they take people who are very ill. Anybody can go, but even stage 4 cancer, and they have about an 80% success rate healing people with green nutrition, algae, infrared saunas, massage, but it all sort of naturopathic healing methodologies. So it's got a great pedigree, and also mentioned later on, it is also the most studied food in the world. There are 60,000 studies documenting spirulina's efficacy for sports, nutrition, healing. It stops cancer, and chlorella has about 40,000. And these are all in the database at NIH and various other databases if you have access to them. I had a board member who was a former professor of biochemistry at Boston University Medical School, and he had access to the database, and he's the one that told me there were so many studies. The problem, that's good news, there's all this science documenting everything that I tell you and more, but the bad news is there's so much science, and no one until me, quite honestly, has gone through the science and basically reinterpreted and connected the dots in a certain way and rewritten it so that practitioners and consumers and athletes can understand it, because there is so much to know about algae, and it's just too much for the average person. So I have about 150 more white papers. I'm happy to share everything I have with anybody who wants it. And we have lab tests to show that ours is really got the cleanest algae in the world. So it is really sitting on very solid scientific background. So what is it? Well, like I said, it's the most documented food in the world, has the most health benefits in the world, has the most vitamins and minerals in the world, and it's also the most sustainable crop. It uses about you get about 100 times more protein per acre than you do with cattle ranching. It uses 1/5 of the water. Algae is grown in fresh water tanks. I'm going to show you some pictures of them. It's not grown in the ocean. Algae is one of the few foods that you do not want grown wildcrafted, because algae absorbs everything that's in the water. And sometimes you'll go online, you'll hear all these terrible things about algae having mitociscans, and yes, it would if it was grown in a swamp or someone's pool or something. But if it's harvested properly, as all the nutritional algae is in freshwater tanks, it is clean. And the sustainability issue is that it releases oxygen when it's growing, it captures carbon dioxide when it's growing, it's a sustainable source of omega-3. There are companies now growing algae just to capture the omega-3. Our poor ocean and fishes are just in desperate states right now because everyone's realized omega-3 is so important, but so now they're using fish oil. But that's caused a lot of other serious eco issues because all the fish are being harvested and their poop, quite honestly, is acid. And so it's causing dead zones in the ocean, which is a real problem. So people are looking for a more sustainable source of omega-3, and algae is, even Dr. Oz has said that algae is the better source of omega-3. And by the way, guess where fish get their omega-3 from? From algae. They just consolidate it in their body. So you can't get any closer to the source for any nutrition, or certainly omega-3, than algae. It is numero uno. The only problem with algae, as I mentioned, is basically it's unknown outside of Asia, with the exception of a few homeopaths, maybe some vegan trainers, but virtually nobody knows it. Ironically, it's been sold in America for 50 years, but this is the kind of packaging. It's all grown in Asia. This is where the multi-billion-dollar marketplace is. So the Asian companies haven't done anything to educate Americans or anybody about what algae is and what it does, or change the packaging so it's a little bit more consumer friendly. And that's also one of the things that we've done. So what I'm going to talk to you about is, why is algae so important and how to biohack your health. So there are about 15,000 strains of algae. So, but almost all of them are poisonous. So don't go sticking your face in your pond, in your pool, and sucking back whatever algae is there, because you will probably get sick. There are only a couple that you can eat for nutritional purposes that won't make you sick, and 2 of them are Spirulina and chlorella. Show of hands if people have heard of Spirulina before. Pretty much everybody. What about chlorella? Okay, well, we're a pretty good crowd. Most people don't. Some people have heard about Spirulina. Virtually nobody's heard of chlorella. So I wanted to give you a little history of algae, because it's not a newcomer. In fact, it occupied the Earth way before we did. Algae, the Earth was formed about 4.5 billion years ago, and they have fossils that show that Spirulina was in existence in about 3.5 billion years ago. Chlorella, the Spirulina, as you're going to find out, is a bacteria. A few years ago, I would hate to tell people that Spirulina was a bacteria because everyone was bacteriophobic at that time, but thanks to the biome, bacteria is now a friendly component of our dialogue. And so Spirulina is a bacteria, has no cellulose wall, which explains why it gets into your bloodstream so quickly. It has no nucleus. Chlorella is a plant, and it developed about a billion years after Spirulina, and it has the hardest cellular wall in the plant kingdom, which is important, and I'll tell you about that later. And then, of course, we only came along about 7 million years ago. So this lovely food group that Mother Nature has provided to us has been around for a very long time, and it's so interesting because before Spirulina was developed, material, and I don't know what caused it to start growing, but the Earth was just gas and water. And then as the Spirulina algae grew and released oxygen, because it releases oxygen and captures carbon dioxide, there was finally enough oxygen on Earth for other plant forms to grow. And so I tell people, it did that for the Earth, just imagine what it can do for your body. It's so oxygenating, it's fantastic. So the nutrition, I'm sorry there's a lot on this chart, and there's way more that I can even tell, but it is unmatched by anything. The most important thing I think for this crowd is for you to know that it's ketogenic. When you take, it doesn't matter which algae it is, there are 0 carbs. And when you take either Spirulina or chlorella, your glucose does not increase and your ketones do not decrease. We've tested this at other conferences where they have the glucose testing and the keto testing, and then they have some algae and they come back half an hour later, flatline, nothing changed. And I just ran into Dominique, who I was hoping who would come into the session, but he was on a NASA mission this July. It was called the NEMO mission. They do this training in submarines because they want to measure the oxidative stress in these difficult conditions. And he asked if he could take 2 of my bags of our algae to test, and he did plenty of testing, and he also said there was no change in ketones or glucose, 0. And he's got all the data, and we're going to probably be doing some research, releasing some papers related to that. So I want to assure you that they use it a lot in intermittent fasting for that reason, because you can be intermittent fasting and take the algae and you're still in a fasted state. It has the highest protein in the world. Spirulina has more, it's 64%, chlorella is 60%. And it's all plant protein, so it's all in amino acid form, so your body does not have to do any work to break it down at all. The Germans won a Nobel Prize related to this back in the 1970s. So again, anything I'm telling you is completely documented, so I'm not telling you anything weird. It's 3 times the amount of protein in steak on a per weight basis. It also has 40 vitamins and minerals and about 100 other nutrients, with factors and cofactors and enzymes and coenzymes. It has one of the most important things I want you to take away today is that it has the highest concentration of chlorophyll. You're going to start learning, certainly from me and hopefully from other people, the critical importance of chlorophyll. It is one of the few fat-based antioxidants that exist. Antioxidants are good, they fight the free radicals, but almost all the antioxidants that we take in from vegetables and fruit are water-based, and these help your plasma and your blood. But a fat-based antioxidant like chlorophyll is the only thing that can get into your cell wall, because your cell wall needs healthy fats. And this is so important for protecting your health, because as you're learning here, everything starts in the cell and the mitochondria. And so chlorophyll is critical to supporting the health of your cell wall. It's also a nutrient, only 10% of it gets absorbed in your stomach. Most of it then travels, it's the one nutrient that stays in your lower intestine as it's going through your digestive tract. It goes through the liver and down, all the way down to your colon. So we were kind of joking earlier, because if you take a lot of algae like I do, and there's some folks in here that I know, like that take it a lot. I said, well, your poop's going to be green, so scoop for green poop. But that's a sign of honor, a badge of honor, because that chlorophyll pulls carcinogens out of your body, and it also is protecting your cellular health. So as it's moving down through your colon, it's pulling those carcinogens out, and that's why they use it. I always wondered, why is it so helpful for IBS and Crohn's disease? Well, now I know why. It's the chlorophyll. In the chlorella particularly, because chlorella has twice the amount of chlorophyll as spirulina. That's what it's doing. So very high chlorophyll. It's got 48 times more iron than spinach, and 28 times more than iron. And this is what's called non-hemi-iron, because it's plant-based iron. And the reason why this is important is, you may be hearing from other people, a lot of protein will stimulate that mTOR pathway, which you don't want as you get older, because that mTOR pathway causes your cells to grow quickly. Well, that's fine when you're younger and you want to build muscle, but when you're older, that stimulation is growing cancer cells. So, that's why you want to be cautious about your high protein intake, but it doesn't happen with anything I've read from plant-based iron. So you're safe with getting the iron from the algae. It's the highest antioxidants that I've found anywhere. It's about 1,000 times more than cherries. These antioxidants are coming from the beta-carotene, from the chlorophyll, and I've got a quote from somebody who's from the NIH. Is that basically your longevity is based on the number of antioxidants that you have in your system, because those are the ones that are fighting all those free radicals. The free radicals are those pesky things that kill or damage your cells, and then you get that cascading effect where it leads to some metabolic diseases and some serious ones like cancer. It also is loaded with essential fatty acids. Now, spirulina has more than the chlorella. So we call ours recovery bits. The spirulina is called energy bits, and our chlorella is called recovery bits. So in spirulina, it has omega-3, DHA, and also something called GLA, which is gamma-linolenic acid. Now, the importance of GLA is that it's technically an omega-6, but it behaves like an omega-3. And the only other place that has more GLA than spirulina is mother's milk, the colostrum. And I'm the one that, I once saw the analysis of the amino acids in colostrum, and I thought, wow, that looks awfully familiar. So I took a chart, and there's a little summary on the back table. The amino acids in spirulina are virtually they are identical to what's in mother's milk, and the same proportions. And suddenly a light went on in my head, because I'd read years ago that in Japan, babies couldn't digest mother's milk when they were born, especially preemies. The only thing that kept them alive was giving them spirulina in water. And now I understand why. It's because the amino acids are virtually identical, and it's loaded with GLA, which they need for brain health. The mother's milk has the GLA in it because the baby's brain doubles in size within the first year or two, and it needs that GLA for health. Brain health. But you know what? We all need brain health. It doesn't matter how old we are. So this is really, really essential. And you're going to find, what we've been finding, they're using our spirulina for Alzheimer's, for brain concussions, for ADHD. I'm working with a doctor in LA who's using it for treating veterans who have post-traumatic stress disorder. He was going to put a whole protocol of fish oil and CoQ10 and other stuff, and he's not going to give any of that anymore. He's just going to give them the algae. So it's very, very important to understand the nutritional profile of these algae. And I'm very proud of the fact that it's a sustainable crop. I know these two charts are very tough to read, but I did want you to see, we're not allowed on our packaging because of the FDA to put all the nutrients. There's only one ingredient in our algae, so it's just spirulina or it's just chlorella. But I do have these cards in the back, and there's also some in the front, so you can actually see the particular nutrients that are in there. And we have an FDA-approved lab that does all the studies for us, and we provide those labs to our doctors to show them that it's also clean, not only nutrient-dense. So I want to go through why spirulina and chlorella are different, because they are as different as night and day. So here's kind of like a little schematic of the two algae. So spirulina, it's called spirulina because it grows in a coiled fashion like this. And I'm going to show you some pictures of it actually growing. And the cell wall, there is no cellulose wall, and as I mentioned, because it's a bacteria, and there is no nucleus. So it gets absorbed very, very quickly into your bloodstream. And all the other sort of mytoplasm and all the goodies are inside. And then chlorella has the hardest cellular wall in the plant kingdom, and it's round. And it grows in a round shape. It blooms out this way. And it does have a nucleus, and that hard cell wall is where a lot of the nutrients are. So here's some actual pictures of it growing. Again, this is the industry in Asia with the spirulina is almost as big as the beef industry here is here. It's quite remarkable. So these aren't little farms in some backyard. I mean, these are large growing agricultural crops. So the photo over here with they're called runways. That's a farm growing spirulina, and the ones that are round, that's the ones that are growing chlorella. As I mentioned, spirulina is a bacteria, and it's a blue-green algae, which is different from chlorella, which is a green algae, and it's a plant. Now, I have these two pictures. I just took these in my kitchen to show you that even though you see, and we have a table in the vendor area, so please come over and try the product. You can see it, the tablets beside each other. We also have some for sale. But when you put the tablet spirulina in the bowl of water, that blue pigment is called phycocyanin, and that has a lot of healing properties. And notice how the blue is dispersed through the water. That's because phycocyanin, that pigment, is a water-based antioxidant. So it disperses through the water. And it used to bother me for years, and I only learned about this difference in the pigments recently. I kept thinking, why are you dispersing and the other one isn't? The other one is chlorella, which is the green pigment primarily, and that's chlorophyll. And because the chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment, it doesn't disperse. I can't tell you how happy I am to understand why they don't disperse why they did this. And I studied it for years, and then it's like, oh, I had the light count come on. So that shows you definitively the differences in the two pigments. And here's another shot. Again, so that you can start to understand how large these farms are. We're a very tiny company, and I'm just grateful that they will sell to us. Now the funny thing is, related to that blue pigment, because two things I want to tell you. We didn't know, we were contacted by a cancer research organization a few years ago, and they said, hey, did you know that your phycocyanin stops cancer? And it's like, no, I didn't know that. And they invited us to exhibit at their cancer conference because it has what's called anti-angiogenesis properties, which means it stops the growth of blood vessels to tumors and cancers. And the reason I figured out why it works is because it's a water-based pigment, and of course, so it's going through your blood, through your plasma, to stop that blood flow growth. But the other funny, interesting thing about the phycocyanin is that it's this beautiful blue color. And what I'm showing you here are some farms growing spirulina just for the blue pigment, because about 3 years ago, the M&M company, under a lot of pressure, rightfully so, decided that they needed to stop putting artificial dyes on their food, and they at least found that the blue pigment from the spirulina was the exact blue that they needed. So it's probably in production now. So when you get blue M&Ms, guess what? You got some spirulina going on there, but you just have the pigment, not the rest of the product. But there's a lot of things happening with spirulina. We're on just the threshold of what's happening in algae. So you guys are the lucky ones to learn a little bit about this now. It is going to be about a $50 billion industry. Some farms are growing it, as I mentioned, for omega-3. There's a $100 million company in San Francisco that's growing it just for the protein. They're actually growing it inside, and they're injecting it into cookies and crackers and eggs, and they're using it now for fish feed. Algae is going to change the world, and so I've known this for 8 years. That's why I'm so eager to tell people about it. So I'm grateful that you're letting me be a talking head up here. But anyways, spirulina, as I mentioned, is a bacteria. It's technically called a cyanobacteria, so it has no cellulose wall. It's got that blue pigment. It also has chlorophyll, but phycocyanin is unique to spirulina. Highest protein in the world, more fatty acids and B vitamins than chlorella. The same amino acid as I mentioned, the profile of mother's milk. And then I'm going to talk about the superoxide dismutase. And I'll address it later on, but this is an enzyme that your body creates internally, and there's very few sources of exogenous superoxide dismutase, and one of the few places you can get it is from spirulina. And the reason why this is so important, it is one of the few enzymes or antioxidants that can penetrate the mitochondria membrane. And as we're learning, everything happens in the cell and in the mitochondria. You need to keep those mitochondria healthy. And eating a green-based diet will help your body create more superoxide dismutase, because what it does is it negates the free radicals that are a result of the ATP production. So having a lot of SOD is important because it heals your mitochondria, which of course will heal the rest of your cells and contribute to the prevention of other sort of metabolic diseases. The other cool thing about spirulina, and also as you're going to learn from chlorella, is that it helps create ATP production. There was a really interesting study a few years ago that showed that when you have chlorophyll and you also expose yourself to sunlight, your body and your cells generate the most efficient ATP, period. And it's clean fuel, which means that there are fewer ROS, which is reactive oxygen species, so there's less oxidation going on. So it's very clean, so there's less chance that you're going to be getting the poor cellular communications, and everything happens the way it should be. So it's really exciting to see that spirulina can do that. Chlorella is technically a plant, as I mentioned. It has the hardest plant cell wall in the plant kingdom, highest chlorophyll in the world. I didn't mention this earlier, but it's the highest RNA and DNA in the world. And as you get older, your RNA gets damaged. And also, if you so it helps with longevity. In Japan, they refer to chlorella as the fountain of youth, and now I know why. Also, if you injure yourself or have surgery, it will help you heal in half the time, and this has been documented. It's also the fastest growing plant in the world, and part of that is because of something they didn't know what to call it, so they call it chlorella growth factor. It just grows the fastest in the world, and it also stimulates your own cellular growth, which also is probably the reason why it helps with cellular health. And again, the chlorophyll component speeds up the ATP production. So what do these two algae do? Well, they're quite different. Again, they're night and day. Spirulina gives you energy mentally and physically. It sharpens your focus. It helps with any kind of brain issue. It satisfies your hunger, thank God, because of all that protein and the fabulous essential fatty acids, so it's used in fasting. It boosts your hair and skin health. I have a lot of young 20-year-olds working for me, and the guys get sort of upset because they have to get their hair cut twice as fast, but of course the women were really thrilled about that. Your nails will get stronger. It also, as I mentioned, the SOD protects your mitochondria, and there's about 100 other things that it does for you, but I couldn't possibly put them all on here. But we call our spirulina energy bits because the main thing that people like about it is that it gives you energy. And in fact, our first main customer base for the first 3-4 years when we were growing, our customers were all athletes. So marathon runners, ultra runners, triathletes, Olympic athletes. We fuel 5 NHL teams right now. So the Detroit Red Wings, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Oilers, and they use both products. So they use spirulina before the game and the chlorella after, because the chlorella pulls out the lactic acid. So it's just think spirulina, think of energy, you get lots of energy. And so a lot of people, I don't know if you're all practitioners or if you're, we're all trying to struggle to be healthier. And the challenge is taking all those things out of your diet that you've always loved. Well, so I tell people, just take it slowly. Even if you can't take things out, let's put some algae in. And if you do nothing else, it's like a seatbelt for your health. It's at least giving your body what it needs. Remember, we're this fine piece of machinery, and we need to have, just like for a Ferrari, you wouldn't put vegetable oil to fuel your Ferrari. So you need to give your body what it needs, and if you do nothing else, if you just give it some algae that has all the nutrition, you will feel a lot better. Chlorella is, again, quite different from spirulina. We call ours recovery bits because it helps you recover from anything. It's a wellness algae. It builds your immune system because of all the chlorophyll. That hard exterior wall detoxes you. It pulls out mercury, lead, lactic acid, as I mentioned. You're going to love this. It pulls out alcohol. So if you take it after you drink alcohol, you will never have a hangover, and you'll be stone sober in an hour and a half. And I think we had some people who were testing it last night. But I know I wouldn't go out drinking, and I don't drink very much, but it's really remarkable. We work with a lot of dentists because they know that chlorella pulls out mercury. We've been contacted by the Global Mercury Poisoning Association because they have known for decades that chlorella pulls mercury out. But the trouble is, all the other chlorella companies have lead in their chlorella because they use an old-fashioned, cheaper technique to crack it. We use a more modern technique where they use glass beads to tumble it, which the lead from the heating of the glass leaks into the chlorella. And they didn't. So here they knew chlorella was so great, but they couldn't use any because now you're taking mercury out and putting lead in. So they want to work with us because I showed them our labs and they can see there's no lead in our chlorella. So it's really amazing for detox. So you don't have to set aside a certain period of time to do a detox. You can just take the chlorella every day, because you know what? There have been 75,000 toxins issued into our world since World War II, and our immune systems were not built to sustain this kind of toxic load. That's what's causing so much damage at a cellular level. So you've got to start healing pulling those toxins out and healing the cell at the mitochondria level. As I mentioned, it'll speed up your healing from injury or surgery or aging because of the DNA and RNA and the growth factor that helps you recover faster, and it protects the mitochondria with that. With all that great chlorophyll, because chlorella has twice the amount of chlorophyll as spirulina. It has 50 times more than wheatgrass and 1,000 times more than greens. So that if you don't like greens, you knock yourself out just to have chlorella. So, spirulina is, like I say, a safety belt for nutritional purposes. Take that every day. At least you're giving your body what it needs on a nutritional basis. And chlorella is like giving your body a shower from the inside every day. You take a shower on the outside. Well, guess what? You really need to shower all those toxins that are in your system. And when you take chlorella, a very small percentage can't tolerate, but most people can. It'll detox your blood in an hour and a half. Detox your cells in about 10 days. Organs take anywhere from 4 to 6 months, sometimes longer. And we also have a protocol. If you know anybody that has Lyme disease, I have a protocol I can give you that we use actually tinctures of stevia, and then you have to kill the mites, and then you need the chlorella to pull the mites out, and it works perfectly. But very few people know about it. But I'm happy to tell you more about that. So why am I and we as a company passionate about algae? Well, you've heard a little bit about it. You are what you eat. And we're learning that food is more than just calories. It's a communication vehicle for your cells. And everything you eat is either going to make you healthy or sick. It doesn't get any simpler. And people are starting to understand that. Every 28 days, your skin replaces itself, your liver every 5 months, your bones every 10 years. You have a choice of what you want your body and your skin and your hair and your health to be like. Everyone has the opportunity to be healthy. And so my job, I feel, is to educate people about a tool that I can give them to help with that process. And algae is so unknown in America, I've decided, because there was, a lot of it's grown in China, there wasn't a lot of high quality, so there was uncertainty about it. There was a little blip in the 60s about people using it, but it was mostly in powder. The packaging, as I mentioned, was sort of like this, like it could have worm guts in it for all we know. So why would you ever pick that up? It doesn't tell you anything about what the product is. And no one has taken any time to explain people. And I've spent 8 years going through the research and created all this material because I know people need to be given information in bite-sized forms and in a way that's unthreatening. We're trying to take the weirdness out of algae and make sure that the quality control is there. So that's why we do all these extra tests, make sure the docs and all of our affiliates will know that we have clean algae. And that's why I want you to be careful, now that you know a little bit about algae, about where you get your algae from. Is the company you're buying it from a big marketer of other products? Because there's no way they can spend the kind of time that we have, because this is all we sell. So you need to be sure of the quality. Do they use binders in it? Because that can cause food allergies. Do they use high heat? High heat, flash heat to dry the algae, kills the enzymes. causes some nutritional damage. We don't use that. Where is it from? So you want to check, don't get anything from China. I'd be cautious about stuff from Japan because of the Fukushima radiation. Ours is grown in Taiwan, completely safe, different water source. How do they package it? If you have any kind of light in the packaging, it will pull the chlorella out of the algae, and so now you're not getting the high nutritional component, because as I've told you, the chlorophyll is so healing. And a little side note is that I've read a couple of passages where they think, there's a section in the Bible where they talk about, Jesus healing the masses with the manna from heaven. They now think it was algae, because the algae was growing on the rocks and it was white because it had been exposed to light, so it just pulled the chlorophyll out, but all the polysaccharides and the proteins were still there, and so they fed people. So we'll never know whether that's true or not, but it makes for a nice story. And with the chlorella, it has to be cracked, but you want to study, find out how do they crack it. I have a package from another company that I bought. It's Whole Foods, and they use that old technique, and the state of California tested it and found there was too much lead in it, so they were told that they could either stop selling or put a warning on their package. So there's a warning on their package that said the state of California has determined there's an amount of substance in this product that contributes to brain disorder and brain damage. And I tell my team, how much lead is too much? I would say 0 is what you want in your chlorella. So be very careful, because you don't want to be taking something to improve your health and end up knowing that you're damaging it. And so you have to be sure it's been tested to prove there's no toxins. So that's why we're so proud that, to tell people you're safe with us. We are endorsed by doctors and athletes. We guarantee the purity. We have FDA lab tests, and all we do is algae. We don't sell anything else. So our algae can be safe for anyone. I told you the story about the babies using it. And also we have pictures of, we have mothers who give it to their babies when they're 3 months old. The mothers take it while they're lactating. The mothers take it while they're pregnant. There are no binders. We have one ingredient, and it's all, it's all safe. So that's kind of like a bit of a summary of algae in general, the differences between the two of them. And now I want to kind of switch over and give you a little summary of I've touched on a few of the points of the therapeutic benefits of algae. And the key attributes, and there's 10, but the two top ones are this high chlorophyll and this high alkaline, because I assume you all know about the pH, how you need to keep your body at the pH level. And these two are the two top notes that contribute to reducing inflammation and reducing aging and disease. So let's take a look at chlorophyll. Did you know that chlorophyll, the chemical composition of chlorophyll, is virtually identical to your hemoglobin? The only difference between the two of them is the atom in the middle, and for plants it's magnesium, and in your blood it's iron. That iron atom is what carries oxygen in your blood, and if it wasn't for that iron atom, I tell people our blood might be green. But to show you how healing the chlorophyll is and how similar it is to your blood. During World War II, when they didn't have enough blood for transfusions for the injured, they would give them liquid chlorophyll, and they would heal just as fast. And also they would use the chlorophyll topically on injuries because it kills bacteria. So, chlorophyll, like I said, you're going to hear a lot more about chlorophyll. It is the missing ingredient, and even if you eat greens, there's no chance that you will get as much chlorophyll as you can from algae. You would have to eat the same amount of greens in this room to get probably the same amount as you would, and maybe even possibly a serving of one serving of our algae. And the problem with the chlorophyll in our greens is that the soils are just so damaged. They are overcropped, and there's no minerals left in the soils. And you've heard from other speakers, they pick them up, they get the crops before they're grown, and they sit in the warehouses, and the nutrient value just disappears. So it's impossible to get the amount of chlorophyll that you need to be healthy. And I'm particularly concerned about the keto community because everyone's eating a lot of fats and they're not getting a lot of greens because they don't want to increase their ketones. Well, guess what? You can get all the chlorophyll that you need by taking the algae because it's ketogenic. But it's remarkable to me how the plant chlorophyll and the blood hemoglobin are identical. As I mentioned earlier, chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment, so it's one of the few antioxidants that will heal that cell wall because the water-based antioxidants can't. And so this is very important for protecting your colon. When you digest food and stuff is sitting in your colon, the blood, I think they said the blood circulates 5 times every minute through the colon. So if you're not having a lot of bowel movements, those toxins that are still down there are circulating multiple times. But if you have the chlorophyll, it absorbs the carcinogens that are down there, and it will also heal the cell wall in your lower intestine. So it's very healing from that perspective. It's one of the master antioxidants, and as I mentioned earlier, it generates clean ATP. I just threw this up because, there's lots of green stuff out there that you can eat, but again, nothing has as much chlorophyll as algae. It has 1,000 times. That's a big number. And I have a chart, I think it's on the back of one of the pages that I handed out, to show you the actual amount of chlorophyll compared to greens and also compared to spirulina. Here's the chart itself. So compared to wheatgrass, chlorella has 50 times more than wheatgrass, and as I say, about close to 1,000 times more than any other greens. This is a very important fact. And I urge you to research on your own about the healing properties of chlorophyll, because I really think between that and keto, I mean, that's the answer to so much. We got to get people off that. People know not to take sugar or carbs, but and increase their fat. So increasing fat and increasing chlorophyll. To me, those are the two things that we need to get people focused on to get them healthy. I know this is a little difficult to read, but again, what chlorophyll does is it increases your blood count, it reduces inflammation, it even helps with the lactation and killing, for lactating mothers, it kills bacteria, it improves your bowel movement. They use it for improving peristalsis. It has lots of regulatory functions in your body. I don't know if some people remember chlorets as a gum that was used. Well, it's because it had chlorophyll in it. So it's used for reducing, breath or disorder or bad mouth. And they actually use it in the equine community for improving the horse's breath and hair and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, it's really very healing. So the fact that algae and it has this high chlorophyll is number one for me. The other one is that it's the most alkaline food in the world. And having an alkaline diet is one of the key ways to maintain your health these days. This is probably the other most important thing that I want you to take away is that Otto Warburg is sort of the grandfather of understanding ketogenesis, and he pointed out that no cancer and no disease can exist in an alkaline diet. So it's so critical that you keep that environment in your body alkaline, because if you have too much acidity, the cells are full of acid, and your body can't process things. So your immune system gets depressed, and your the lymphatic system gets slowed down, and the nodes collect bacteria, and that the cells can't get the nutrients in and the garbage out, and so then you have poor cellular communication, which leads to the apoptosis not occurring, and then you get the mitochondria not working, and it's just a downward spiral from there. So you need to really be focusing on bringing that pH level to a healthy level. And so here's this little visual. We have all had goldfish, and you know what happens when you don't clean your goldfish bowl? Poor Goldie, he's lying on his back, dead one day. So that's because there wasn't enough oxygen in the water because you weren't cleaning it out. So the acidity leaches minerals and nutrients out of your body, but if you keep it clean and alkaline, because our body is mostly water, then you're going to be a lot healthier. So algae restores the pH to the level that it should be, and it's not only just for your health. I have a little anecdote on the athletic performance perspective. When you are active doing sports, your body is releasing lactic acid, and so in your blood, the hemoglobin has a negative charge around the outside of it, so it can repel each other and be a nice round shape and hold the oxygen. But when your blood gets acidic from the lactic acid or food, it strips the negative charge off the hemoglobin. Now they're clumping, which causes two things. Now it's so fat it can't fit down through the tiny capillaries to bring oxygen, so that fatigues you as an individual or an athlete. And now it's so distorted that it can't hold the oxygen. They can't hold the iron atom, which holds oxygen. So now it's depleted of oxygen, which also causes you to fatigue, whether you're an athlete or just walking around. As soon as you restore that pH balance, which the algae does, or something else that's alkaline, now the hemoglobin's happy again, nice happy round face shapes. The negative charge is back, the shape is normal, it can hold the atom in the middle and carry the oxygen, and everybody's happy again. So that pH is really essential at the blood, but also at the cellular level. And here's just sort of a chart that shows you your pH needs to be at 7.34, I think, and things like algae or the other things that are alkaline are all green vegetables, anything that's green. Lemons and limes are about the only fruit that are truly alkaline, and it's the alkaline impact on your body, not the alkaline chemical taste or test. Everything else, sadly, dairy, meat, processed foods are all acidic, so you just want to be aware that what you're doing, what you're eating, how it's affecting your pH balance. The other main thing is that algae and chlorophyll reduce inflammation, and we've heard a lot about inflammation, and it's the chronic inflammation is the problem, is because that's causing the antioxidants or the free radicals to be damaging your cells, and it just leads to just about every disease that we can think of. So algae reduces all this chronic inflammation by improving the gut biome. It's got all this fabulous 18 of the 20 essential fatty acids, so it's a complete protein. It has the highest concentration of antioxidants, and I have a chart in the back that shows you that, and you've got to have those antioxidants to keep the free radicals under control. It's a precursor to glutathione because it has all the cysteine, glycine, and glutamine, and it's the most alkaline food in the world. So it reduces aging and disease because it keeps all these attributes in order. It keeps your cells and your mitochondria happy. And you know what? More and more people are getting cancer because guess what? We're living longer, but we're not living better. So as you live longer, your exposure to free radicals and toxins just increase. And so that's what's happening with cancer. Because we're living longer, and of course even drugs are acidic, and I truly don't believe they're the answer. I think that we can have nutritional intervention. So that's what's going on. The cancer rates are going up because we're living longer. And disease, as I mentioned earlier, is caused by inflammation, the acidic body, high toxins, and your weakened immune system. It's heart disease, cancer, respiratory disease are the biggest ones, and there's lots of ways that algae can address that. I know I'm almost running out of time, so there are 10 ways. We did do the 2 about the reduced inflammation and the high alkaline, and I touched on the ATP, which is cleaner because you don't have as much reactive oxygen species. The mitochondria health, because of the spirulina, has this superoxide dismutase, which is able to penetrate the mitochondria membrane to heal it. Then you have high antioxidants that reduce the free radicals. You're going to remove the toxins, and those toxins are leading to all that aging. Also, it stimulates T cells, and there's again a lot of research that shows that, and you need that to keep your body healthy. That cell wall, because of the pigment in the fat-based pigment from the chlorophyll, is keeping your cell wall healthy, and that allows the toxins to go out and the nutrients to come in, and so the mitochondria are really healthy and happy because they're getting all that they need. It's very important to understand that even though there's a lot of protein and even though there's a lot of iron, these are plant-based and they do not stimulate that mTOR pathway, which is stimulated by both of those. And as you get older, what's it's stimulating is the cancer growth. But it doesn't happen with the plant-based protein or iron. And it neutralizes all that acidity, so you can slow down or reduce or hopefully restore health from a metabolic disease. I do want you to know that, I'm not going to do too much of sort of an advertisement, but we do sell our algae on our website. We have 4 brands. Skinny Bits and Energy Bits are both the same. There's a reason why there's 2, is I started with these 3, Energy Bits for Spirulina, Recovery Bits for Chlorella, and Vitality is a blend of the 2, which we use we recommend to people who have a more stable life and want a food-based replacement for their supplements. But I noticed after the first couple of years that I wasn't getting any women buying customers. So I asked my girlfriends, why aren't people buying my algae, women buying my algae? And they said, well, you need to make it packaging pink and give it a flirty name. So I thought, okay, because women's health is so important to me, so I created Skinny Bits, but Skinny Bits and Energy Bits are identical. It's just different packaging, and we market it more to women for health, skin and hair health, but they are absolutely identical. They're both Spirulina. And we're now starting to sell them through chiropractors and nutritionists. We have about 1,000 sort of affiliates and retailers who are in the wellness, fitness community. And if you know anybody that would like to join us, we'd love to have them join us. And they sell the individuals for $4 to their community, and then they can come to our website and buy a larger bag, because $4 is a very low entry point. We also sell it on Amazon. To me, algae is wellness. We're going to be working with all these communities, the mind-body, healthy eating, nutrition. We're already working with functional food people, chiropractors, spas, gyms, work with yoga studios, CrossFit studios. I'm just so proud to be part of something that's part of the solution to what's hurting us and our earth, because algae is going to be a really exciting ride, and I really encourage all of you to explore it a little bit more, because it can really help your health, and it's really the safest, healthiest solution and the easiest to make a difference. So just go out there and buy back your health and knock it all over. I'm just going to turn my video off, and then I'll take questions.
I had a question.
Yes.